number 8 under new business to discuss the extension of the RFP on the Lone Oak ball field, and that request was made by Lone Oak. That would be number 8. Number 9, discuss government documents. And number 10, discuss the need for engineering on county line road. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
All
right. Hearing that, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Motion carries. I've read the minutes from the September 9, 2020 meeting at 9 a.m. You all have and have no changes needed. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Municipal comments, I do not see any cities on or here. So constitutional officers, do not see any constitutional officers. We are not doing department heads, but what I do want to do at this time is recognize a few individuals. One is not here, but we will recognize him too. We have Mr. Alan Smith, who has accepted the fire chief from Maryville County. Mr. Smith, you'll stand, we thank you for accepting the position. And Danny Stevens, who cannot be here tonight, I assume, has accepted the assistant chief. So we just want to recognize him.
He had something going on with family.
We wanted to recognize you publicly and thank you for what you did.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. And we also have George Richmond, who has accepted the director of the Maryville County Animal Shelter. Thank you, George.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, sir. If you need anything, you let us know.
Yes, sir.
And you all don't have to stay with me. If you all can go home to your families if you want to. I just wanted to feel you can go to. Just want to recognize you all publicly. All right, any other business, anything? We'll move to item number 7, public hearing. Item number 1, fiscal year 2020-2021 proposed budget for Maryville County. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing for item number 1? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. We are in public hearing at 6:04.
Just briefly, Mr. Chair, from our last meeting, things we talked about, such as recreation special projects line item and pay scale raises for fire and EMS departments. We have revised the budget and included those things in the budget. For fire EMS, we're talking about a $1.50 per hour raise for EMT and firefighters, and a $2 an hour raise for full-time paramedics. Additionally, that budget did not change. Fire EMS did change a little bit to reflect diverting some of the CARES Grant Act monies received from the federal government to the fire district to cover those raises. Those are the changes.
All right, anything further? I got it. Mr. Gay?
We're ready to ask you guys to consider approving this tonight. Our fiscal year is about October 1. Yeah, October 1.
All right. Any commissioners have any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to go out of public hearing?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. We are out of public hearing at 6:05. Hearing the recommendations from the finance director and as well as Mr. Gay, do I have a motion to accept these changes?
Motion to accept.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. Item number 2 under public hearing, establishment of fees associated with county ordinances. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing for item number 2?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. We're in executive session at 6:06. Public hearing, sorry. Keep going.
Mr. Chairman, for this week, we appreciate it. You have before you tonight a list of consolidated fee schedules. I'm not going to ask you guys to approve these tonight. I know it's later on the agenda, but I really think you guys take a look at it for a little while. We'll put them on the next agenda because they're really not going to go into effect January 1.
That's right. Okay, so what do you have?
And what you'll see is I've written in just hand, and you can tell what the current fee is and what we're looking to go to. Our fees have not been updated yet, it is,
2004 to 6.
so we're 15 plus years behind on our fees. But in the zoning, which we're going to talk about tonight, we have removed the references to fees, and we put them in this consolidated fee sheet. The reason we did that is if you need to adjust fees, and this, and I'll talk about it a little bit more, but some of the fees in here will adjust automatically on every 6 month basis. And if you don't pay for the ordinance, you got to go back through the ordinance every time we change the ordinance. That's requires public hearings. It's costly to get your books updated every year. And so one of the first things we did was pull everything out of the code books and put it into a consolidated fee schedule where you guys can take a look at every year. And that way we're not 15 years behind on our schedule. And I will say this, when you start looking at the fees that are associated here, I know some of them are going up, and rightly so, because this is actually a service that we're providing for the people who come in for rezoning and various permits and building inspections. And if you don't collect enough fees to pay for that, then the taxpayers who are not receiving that specific service are having to subsidize. So that's why the fees are, very important. And I'll be happy to just very quickly walk through these fees. On the first section is applications, and these are for rezoning. We have, it was at one time 350 to 850 based on acreage. We've now developed it as 500 for all residential use, 1,000 for all commercial and industrial use. And then the planned communities, like planned unit development, commercial industrial planned district, and planned industrial district, those require quite a bit of review for rezoning, so we have that at $1,500. Special use permit application, it was the same as the zoning, so whatever the zoning was, we moved it over to just $1,000. Preliminary plat was $15 for the first 30 lots and 50 cents a lot thereafter. So we were getting virtually nothing for the review of plats and those kind of things. So we have a lot of time invested in it. So we're recommending that go up to a $500 base fee. And if you've got up to 20 acres, it's $25 an acre. And then $500 base fee and $15 an acre over 20 acres. So you drop down a little bit if that's the case. Variance application, it was the same as the rezoning cost.
So let me stop and ask you this. If it's $25 per acre up to 20 acres, that's $300, but if it drops from 15 to 21 acres, that's only $315. So we lose there, even though it's an increase in the acreage amount. We may want to
You may want to bump that up to about 20 instead of 15. That way,
I mean, just look at that, I know we're not voting on it tonight, but I was just thinking the difference there.
And I think you're right in that. So we'll look at both that. Again, it's a lot of work involved. Variance application was received as rezoned, and now we're looking for 500 residential, 1,000 commercial. The residential house plates, okay, we were not charging anything for planning, yet we were having to pay for planning. So now we put in $150 for planning review. And then we added a column of additional planning because if they don't get the plan right, and you don't see that too often on residential, but you will see it quite a bit on commercial or big developments, they'll come back in and say, we gotta redo it over and over again. So what we've done is we said, you know, if we review it, it's rejected, second reviews, additional $25 and we go up from there. You increase the prices as you go along because you want to get it right. You don't have to keep redoing it. And I have seen instances where people use the county as their engineering service and then have us tell them what's wrong and then they go back and they change it, etc. Now, on the calculating valuation, this is what we will base all of our permits on. This is based on the International Code Conference's DVD, which is Building Valuation Data, and with an 80% multiplier. And what that means is their fees are nationwide fees, and some areas are more expensive than others, so they may be 100% if you're in, like, say, Atlanta. If you're in a more rural area where the market value is not as high, you have to go down. If you were in Los Angeles or something, you go up. So we're using 80% of the value as our multiplier, and we will take the gross heated square feet and the square foot value, and that will be determined off the ICC documents, and they change it every 6 months. So they track the market. If the market goes up, they go up. If the market comes down, they go down. And in the past, we've been using $91. You cannot build a house for $91, $15 for a finished basement, $35 garage. It will go and be based upon these numbers that are pulled off the DVD chart. And we'll take 80% of those. That'll be the value. And then it will go, and I'll show you how it's calculated in just a bit. For commercial industrial plan review, we're charging nothing. Now we're going to charge 50% of the permit fee, or minimum of $150. Additional plan review, you didn't charge anything. Since we don't know exactly what that's going to be, we calculate the permit fee. We just said the second review to be 20% of the initial plan, and 50% goes after that. All right, calculated valuations. This is all based on the ICC DVD, again, 35% multiplier. You will use that chart, and you will determine what the value of the project is. So if you have a $500 building, it'd be less than $1,000. The minimum permit fee would be $75. It was $25. And then as you go up with value, you can see the numbers that we're looking at. $75 for the first $1,000 plus 6 for additional $1,000 fraction thereof. It goes all the way down through the 500,001 above structures. And those are $17.10 and then $3 for additional fraction thereof. What this allows you to do is collect your building permit fee based on the true value of the house. So this is a good way to do it. You shouldn't have to go back over these on an annual basis. ICC keeps up with them. It keeps everything up to date. You don't have to adjust your fees. It will adjust them for you. You don't have to get it up to swimming pool, it was $0 for either residential, commercial. Now we're looking at $100 plus plan review fee and $300 for the commercial plus fee. The re-inspection fees, we were charging $35. You come in as many times as you want, $35 you get a re-inspection. So there again, a lot of people use it for the general contractor, and that's not really the intention. We have a graduated scale here that is reasonable, the first re-inspection. And it goes up from there, so they keep coming back with the same item. Now, if it's a different item, that's a whole different story. But if they keep coming back with the same item over and over again, and they can't get it right, that fee continues to go up. Plumbing permit fees were $4 per unit. Now we're looking at $100 for up to 3 fixtures and $20 a fixture after the first 3. Gas permits are based on the outlet size. They were $24 to $90. We took those and we factored, we started with a $50 base and we factored those up based upon the same percentage changes over with 2490 was in place, and we come up with a few figures there. Over on the electrical, we have 75, we went from a $40 base to 75, and then it goes up from there. And above 1,000 amps, it's computed at $600 per thousand, fraction thereof. So it goes up if you got something more. The temporary poles, this kind of was related back to the hoodie camps we talked about. And we put that in the ordinance, and we changed that from $40 to $100. And that is required to be permitted and inspected every year. That way we can be assured that people are not turning into a full-time. The restoration or reconnection fee is $75, it was $25. Heating and air based off of BTUs, cooling BTUs or tonnage. Heating was 32 to 420. Cooling was 20 to 480, and we started out with a base of 75, and we calculated up using the same graduated formula that had been used in the past. Demolition fee, we didn't have a permit, we have to make sure that it's been demolished and it's properly inspected and safe. Manufactured home relocation, we do not have anything for that. Now we're looking at $250 for Tindley County, and we're looking at $250 if it's outside the county being brought in. But we also require that property owner to give us an inspection that buildings in good condition. Land disturbance is $40 per disturbed acre. That's what it has been. Cell tower remains the same, but we did have a plan review. We didn't have a plan review before. $250 for each antenna, and there was no plan review. We added that. Solar farm based on the valuation residential, and so now we're putting that on the ICC calculator again, and we're valuing the permit at 50% of the permit fee. So your plan review, and this is saying that the fee's $1,000. Plan review $500. Miscellaneous media permits, we have high impact, low impact, and then production activity per day. We're probably going to need to look at those and come back in. Sign permits were 7,500, special events permits were 0. We got those at 250. And then we have use of county property per day. We didn't change that. There were no admin fees. We need to take a look at that again, because fees that we've got there, are really not reflective of what, the usage could be. If they wanted to, say, use the courthouse for building or something, they would probably willingly pay $1,000, not $100, but it would cost us more than that to secure everything else. So we'll be back with you guys on looking at that here in the near future. The alcohol license, they all remain the same except for the mistake on the original applications. The farm winery tasting room and the farm brewery tasting room per the ordinance for $500, $550. So we need to change those. All the other permits for alcohol remain the same. Business license, this is or occupation tax, this is based right now on the number of employees. $40 for one employee, 80, 3 to 9 employees, it's $80 plus $15 for each employee over 2. 10 or more was $12.50, now it's $15 for each employee. But we have a maximum of $600. We probably need to look at that maximum because, we can have some probably small businesses paying 80, and we may have some huge businesses that are only paying $600. So we may want to look at that as we go forward. And of course, our admin fee for dealing with the occupation tax, we would change from 50 to 45. Now I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Kathy is here tonight as well, and quite a bit of work went into getting this forward. I appreciate Kathy's help, Butch's help, I appreciate Allison for all her work and getting everything put together with it, and we think it's good, it's very defensible. You've noted at the beginning that we say at the very beginning of Consolidated Fee Schedule that if you fail to get a permit prior to getting to work, you will get billed 2 times the original permit fee. So if you come in and think, hey, I will get that, $200 fee. If you don't get it, you start work, then your fee's going to be $400.
I'm just glad we're not voting on it tonight, because you lost me after that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's quite complicated. I'll be happy to answer questions, happy to have you guys look over it, and let me know. And,
Yeah, I definitely know we're gonna need more time to do this and put it together, because it seems like a lot of increases. I don't want us to jeopardize future endeavors with feeding somebody's debt.
And I don't think you'll have that problem, because these fees are probably still lower than any of the surrounding jurisdictions. And it's been 15 years, the preliminary plat, $15, probably $25 for something that can cost what, $500 for you guys.
Because it has to be advertised, posted, and all the work going into it. We're spending probably close to $500.
So,
I do have a question. On the use of county property, how does this tie in with our movie ordinance? Is it pretty?
we need to go back
Specifics
and,
for that, right?
right, yes, sir. We did go back and take a look at that, because what we were charging was $100, but that was just like you used to do or something. So we're going to completely restructure that. We still, your ordinances, while we're going to codify it into this, they're still ongoing. And this will be something that's ongoing as well. I would like to see us develop a fee chart for use of county buildings. It's one thing, courthouse is something else, and somebody wanted to hold, say they wanted to have all the Lake Beer, we need a price for that. If we get other, community buildings and all in the future, we'll need a price for that. So we really need to do that, and we need to develop the application system where they also have a cleanup fee afterwards, and that they have some kind of, permit, fee they have to put up front, where if they don't clean it up, we'll keep that fee. So there's a lot of structure that needs to go with that. We just didn't have time. We were trying to get your normal fees to come out of your codes and ordinances back into solid ordinance.
The only question I have here, and this is a lot of information, thank you all for putting in our 2-1 and take the time to read over this and do comparisons to surrounding counties. My main thing that I want to make sure is that people understand the service that it takes to do this. We're not doing it at a profit, it's just to pay for what we actually are doing anyway.
That's right.
When it comes down to advertising and things of that nature. I guess my other thing is to make sure that since we are using Safefield to help us in some capacity, that we make sure that it covers that expense as well, whatever those fees are, that is doing that. Because as she stated earlier, just to advertise in the paper, you only pay $15 for the application, but it costs the county $250 to put it in. So I guess the best thing is to make sure that people understand we're trying to cover our costs of the service that we provide.
And then you've got the zoning appeal, planning commission has
That's
to deal with it.
$250 a meeting.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, long as these fees do accommodate those expenses and whatever services we have to outsource for someone else to provide those additional services that we don't provide.
It is a simple, if you collect $1,000, you should have collected $2,000. That $1,000 has to be made up from the general fund, the taxpayers who are not receiving any service. So, we were not going to ask you guys to vote on that tonight, and really we're looking to have it go into effect January 1. I think you'll find those, we actually met to say that when we're doing this as well, and we put a lot of thought and effort into these fees. I think you guys provide it very consistent, but I want y'all to take a look at those, and any questions, let me know, any questions, how we calculate it, let me know, we'll be happy to answer it when we get to that.
Any other commissioners have any questions? Commissioner Hadley, Commissioner Burke?
Okay.
I have a question. I more that I want to understand. So when you say residential 1 to 2 family house,
Yes, sir.
so you're saying if a homeowner is going to build that house, is different from a commercial contract. So let's just say we have a contractor doing a subdivision, and then you have a homeowner doing just a single house. So that's the difference in the commercial and the residential.
What the difference would be, Commissioner Gray with this, if you're gonna build a house, you fall into the residential, even if you're a contractor who's building a house. Because residential is usually known as 1 to 2 family dwellings, okay? And then once you move beyond that, you're getting to the commercial. What you're doing there is, let's just say, you know, we have a new industry coming in, or we have a new store that's going somewhere. That would be where the commercial comes into play. And generally, there's a little more, I mean, the industry is a lot more time consuming and complicated with the planning than the houses. And you'll see those reflected. But at the end of the day, it still goes back to that valuation data that was in there. And you're going to have a house, you don't have too many houses that will be over $500,000. But you will have a lot of commercial industrial that will be over $500,000. So that permit fee will be based on that valuation and it calculate that times the square footage. So, I hope I answered your question.
I think you did, but I guess my main question is, so when I say residential, and, well, maybe I'm looking at something else, a subdivision.
Yes, ma'am.
So would the subdivision, be as a residential?
Yes, ma'am. That will go into the plan review aspect.
Okay.
Okay, that goes into your plan review, E&S and all of those. And then the chart that we're looking at there is just what you're building. It's exclusive of your lot.
Anybody else?
That answers that.
Hearing no other questions, do I have a motion to go out of public hearing? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Motion carries. We are out of public hearing at 6:28. All right, item number 3 on the public hearing is ordinance number 2020-05, codification of Meriwether County ordinances. Do I have a motion to go into public hearing for the codification of the Meriwether County ordinances?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries. We are in public hearing at 6:28.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. What we have tonight is a project which we have been working on for a long time, and that is the codification of our ordinances. Okay. We have been through all of this. I know, I appreciate y'all's patience. We looked at it, we talked about it, we met with you guys individually, and we are ready to have this codification come into place. The things that we did not change in this deal was the subdivision and the zoning, which we have subsequently done, and they'll become addendums to this, but we are going to bring everything back again and have some changes. And what we're going to do tonight is ask you guys to approve the codification, so all of your old ordinances will basically go away and be replaced with this new ordinance here that will go to Beverly County. Beverly, we haven't had this ordinance, it hadn't been recodified since the 80s. So it's a lot of work to get into that. The zoning will become part of it, the subdivision will become part of it. There's also some other changes that we'll be working on getting back to you guys here in the very near future. We're going to have to redo our erosion and sedimentation code ordinance. We've got a few little tweaks on the subdivision and the zoning. I've got to add, you guys asked for the ability to have a, like a mother-in-law suite or whatever, or apartment, and I've got to add that to that provision. And then we got a few little changes on alcohol ordinance. I think that's really more numbering and reserving space and anything else. Then, of course, we're going to bring back the zoning out in the near future. And then hopefully after that, other than things will change, we'll be completed with this project. I gave you guys tonight a copy of the zone. It says draft, but it's the final. And so we do have that. Please take a look at it. That's a lot of work that went into that. You also should have a copy of the subdivision regulations as well. We did add to the subdivision regulations for both request and typical section drawings for both curb and gutter and open ditch sections, cul-de-sacs, and curb construction. So you will see the drawings in there from that standpoint. But what we're proposing tonight is to just simply ask you guys to consider, adopting the codification of these ordinances and moving forward with what we've been working on for quite a while.
Just to be clear, we have, if remember correctly, we do plan on re-adopting the full ordinance with the zoning and the subdivision at a later date. We're going to notice all of that, so that we have it again re-adopted in its entirety at one time. Right now, you're just adopting replacement of those that are not including zoning and subdivision.
See, there was some zoning and subdivision that you guys had to make changes on, and we did, so we'll bring those back.
And that was the reason we wanted to renotice it. We're not doing it today, and
So, in the republication of this is what goes to Unicode for them to update it.
Yes, sir.
So, is the number, when you go in and bring in the other part of it, say like the subdivision and all that, and we go back in to do that, is that gonna change the numbering system of that, or is it all falls under that same?
The numbering system from the old to the new did change, but these are, I've done these to be part of this new code. So if you look at the numbering system of the zoning,
For the new subdivision will be under,
it'll be in the new.
There's a code area for it, and once we adopt it, it'll go into that.
And see, these are actually addendums
to the ordinance.
now they're appendixes,
Okay.
appendix A, appendix B
Okay.
to the codes. So, but the new numbering system, everything will be numbered. You'll see the codified version, and then any additions we do, you'll be able to look up on the addendums.
Do you know how long it takes for Unicode to update that? Once
They've already got
we
it.
agree, once we vote?
It
This you'll
depends.
see right away, this book here, you'll see right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should be, once I get that to them, you should be able to see it pretty much right away.
They've already got this. The other depends on when you send it, and you can send it each time, but it's better if you're going to have 2 or 3 to send them at once. And we're looking to have all these others done before the end of the year, so we
We
probably.
have a supplement we're working on right now, supplement 1, that has a few that we've already adopted this year, and then this is all over that.
Like the farm, we reordinance and things like that. Okay, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Like I said, this has been a long time coming, and a lot of work gone into it, but, we do recommend, right.
Any questions from any commission?
The chairman will also need to sign this.
All right, hearing none. Hold on. Hearing no other comments, do I have a motion to go out of public hearing? I have a motion by Commissioner Hines, do I have a second? Second by Commissioner McCoy, all in favor? Motion carries, we are out of public hearing at 6:34, we see how this through there. All right, so, hearing the recommendations of Mr. Gay as well as the county attorney, do I have a motion to approve, and Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, a motion to approve the codification of the Marietta County ordinance excluding the zoning and subdivision, which will come at a later date?
approve and replace.
To approve, all right, do I have a motion to approve the codification of Marietta County orders to replace the existing and also to exclude the zoning and subdivision, which will come at a later date, and also allow the chair to sign?
You actually already have an updated zoning and subdivision, so I wouldn't
So we're
exclude
doing a
those.
codification, so it's not included in that.
It's not included, and it's already approved.
But
We're
you
going to
said
bring it
it's
back again for inclusion.
Well, Michael said-
There were changes that were made to it, so we're renoticing and we're bringing that back in with the entire zoning ordinance at that point in time. Right now, though, you're peeling and replacing, correct me if I'm wrong, peeling and replacing chapters 1 through 36, which do not include the two amendments, which are the subdivision and subdivision.
So you're killing and replacing.
Right. The codes themselves, these are amendments, and they are amendment, but we will come back at a later date with the zoning map and all the code things and bring them back again, and we'll incorporate these. Right now, these are part of the, supplemental.
But we're not
Y'all,
voting on.
y'all passed them earlier this year,
Right.
and they will continue in existence without any effect to the adoption of these other 36
Right,
chapters.
so we're excluding those at this point.
For this vote,
And-
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Lord.
I'm sorry, I just didn't want us to, someone to think that they were not.
They will be active in their current form.
Right.
That clears that up. They'll be active. in
So let's
their
try
current
this one more time. May I have a motion to approve the codification of the Meriwether County ordinances to replace the existing with the exclusion of the zoning and subdivision, which will come at a later date, and allow chair to sign? Is that okay?
So,
moved.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Hadley. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner McCoy. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
All right. Item number 8, unfinished business. Appointment of Planning Commission Board to fulfill an unexpired term, District 4, which expires January 5th, 2025. That is mine. I actually spoke to a gentleman today, Mr. Mark Trimble, Trimble, and I'll get you his information after the meeting there. And he is very interested in doing this. The gentleman has retired from a corporate job and has a building company that he does, but he does live in my district. So I would like to make a motion to appoint Mr. Mark Trimble to the commission, Planning Commission Board. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Finally out of the way. All right. Item number 9, under new business, to approve fiscal year 2021 budget for Meriwether County.
You've already told us.
So there's no, anything else we need to do? All right. So do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 budget for Meriwether County that we have already discussed in a prior meeting?
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hines. Do I have a second by Commissioner Hadley?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. All right, item number 2, approve fees associated with county ordinances.
We're going to ask you guys to just continue that to a later date.
All right, do I have a motion to table item number 2 under new business? Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Commissioner Hadley, yea or nay?
Yay.
Motion carries. I gotta remember that. All right, item number 3, ordinance number 2020-05, codification of the Meriwether. We already did that.
You did that come down.
Right.
So,
Do I have a motion to remove item number 3 under new business since it has previously been voted on?
so moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Item number 3 has been removed. Item number 4, under new business, appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board to fill the Board of Education unexpired term.
I spoke with Dr. Griffin. I had someone to contact me that is currently working as a volunteer with the Greenville High School football unit, and also he's a retired coach, and an athlete that I went through that just moved into the county. So he contacted me about getting on this board. So in return, I contacted Dr. Griffin and asked him to appoint him, or to consider appointing him. So Dr. Griffin responded that he would put this before the Board of Education on 10/6 and get back with us.
Okay. So here is that from Commissioner Brady. Do I have a motion to table this until after the Board of Education meeting on 10/6?
So moved.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second, all in favor? Commissioner Hadley, yea or nay?
Yay.
Motion carries. It's tabled. Item number 5, approval to allow Lake Meriwether Advisory Board to use county-owned public spaces and facilities on Lake Meriwether property located at 728 Lake Meriwether Road, Woodbury, Georgia, 30293, for the purpose of sponsoring and recognizing first responders of Meriwether County and their families on October 24, 2020, from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m.
I will go ahead and start with that in compliance with it too. The Lake Meriwether Board thought it would be a good gesture to go ahead, so we've done nothing really done this year. We've done pretty well. And with the space we have at Lake Meriwether, people are spread out. They should be able to have a good time. And what we're going to do is invite all the first responders, our county as well as the local cities there will be involved. And they can all come and participate. We'll establish kind of an open day there for the first responders, and we would provide lunch, and we would try to keep this thing off, make sure everybody was together around 11 o'clock there on that Saturday, and just, we would end the food and that sort of stuff by 2 p.m. They could go out and enjoy. We're going to provide some kayaks and some other things there for the people that come, make it kind of a family outing.
We would recommend no fees for the use of that.
And all the paperwork has been filed in there, right, Ms. Cannon?
Just
Okay.
need y'all's approval.
All right, any commissioners have any questions? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve to allow the Lake Meriwether Advisory Board to use the Lake Meriwether area on October 24, 2020 for the purposes listed, and also with no fees included?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Yay.
Motion carries. That worked out, thank you, Ben. All right, item number 6, resolution electing not to impose or participate in the provisions of IRS Notice 2020-65 and allow the chair to sign.
You remember several months ago, the president made an executive order allowing the IRS to not collect federal income taxes, to defer them to a later date. Today, we've had one employee ask about it, so Darren and Devin, I sat down and talked about it. And it's up to the employer to participate in this program. We decided it would be a good idea not to do that. The reason is we're afraid that 6 months from now, when it's tax time, some of our employees not understand what they've done. If they're buying it for a couple, $2,000 or $3,000 worth of federal income tax, and they wouldn't have the money. And that's basically what our thinking is.
It's not waiting, it's just deferred.
It's deferred.
It's deferred.
If you defer it, then, you know, the time comes, they don't have money, they have a problem, and they have to take their entire paycheck or so.
Yeah.
Pay
But
back.
no offense, don't they just take it out of your check? I mean, if
They
they
would.
defer it, and you don't pay that $200 or $300, and then if the deferment is 6 months, at the end of that 6 months, and let's say the total that was deferred was $800, and 6 months later, they're just gonna pull $800 out of your account.
Well, no, we would actually do a levy on
Yeah,
it.
IRS.
So they're deferring it, but how do they collect it? They collect it all at one time? I mean, it's not something I personally think is good,
I don't know.
but, I'm sorry, Deborah.
I apologize, I thought you told me if they didn't pay it back all together, it would be a levy. But I think what you're asking now is, when do they pay it back? If they defer it now, do they pay it back January 1, all of it? I don't know the
So
answer.
my understanding is when they file their income taxes, April 15th at that time.
You have to make it up during that period of time.
And we're pretty sure that the order states that it is up to the employer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it does.
Okay,
So we recommend that you guys execute the resolution authorizing this right.
The employee that asked about it, I told him that if he wouldn't come fill out the proper IRS paperwork, that he could go exempt for that period of time if he wanted to, but he would be responsible for their actions.
So they have an option.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other commissioners? Hearing that, do I have a motion to adopt a resolution electing not to impose or participate in the provisions of IRS notices 2020-65 and allow the chair to sign?
So moved.
Have a motion by Commissioner Hadley, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Yay.
Motion carries. All right, item number 7, discussion of code road resurfacing.
Mr. Commissioners, when we originally approved the code as part of the last contract, we ended up with about 7 plus miles of roadway. There was a short section that was not covered, it was about a little bit, 3.05 miles. And the contractor is about to start on the code, so considering that, I simply asked Bill Cawthorn to talk to him and calculate and see what it would cost to complete the rest of that road, because we were going to put it into the upcoming year's program anyway. But while they're there, it's going to be cheaper because they will not have to mobilize. So what we want to do is just ask the board, do you guys, while the contractors in the area, do you want us to add this as a change to the contract? It's like about a little less than $290,000 to add that 3 miles and complete the entire code road. So that's just a request. The reason we bring it is they're about to start on it. Yeah, that would end at the city limits, so there's still about 1 miles inside the city. We can talk to the city and see if they were interested to continue that road. So we just bring that to you guys as a consideration. But we know that we have to work pretty soon.
And that would just come out of the T-Splosh?
Not T-Splosh, it's Splosh. There will.
But we have to work on that.
Yeah, but we would have to put us in code. We're going to do it anyway.
And you need us to vote on this tonight?
Well, not necessarily tonight, but once they get started, once they leave,
Right.
the options could be on the table.
My question is, how will this $290,000 affect other projects that we have going on that we should be doing?
It would not have, I mean, you will spend a lot of dollars on transportation, you got the T-Splosh. So if we don't do it now, probably going to end up on the program for next year, so you still will be looking at next year. They'll probably go back in for me, which we're going to talk about this.
Should we have a start date on it?
They're going to be down there in a couple of weeks, that's why I wanted to. We can, I can bring it back at the next meeting, because they will not finish it. But I just know that once they leave, the window of opportunity to have them do it is going to go away.
And we're sure that it's a little less than 290?
That's what our calculation, you don't know exactly until you put the payment down, we have quantities, but that's.
Let me ask you this, since they're going to start in a couple of weeks, and we will have time while they're there before our next meeting, can we get that company to give us what they say it will be? I know we have our people, and they're usually pretty close, but if we could have them to say what the addition to the contract, I think that would be more definitive for all of us.
I'd be happy to just give them a proposal, they had all given guys a proposal, on,
You want to have that?
I'll do that, thank you. We just didn't want this opportunity, that's what y'all do.
So we don't need to vote on this tonight, we'll just go with.
I know, if they give us a change order, proposed change order, and I'll bring it back to them.
Because if they can do that and give us something that's contractual, then I think we need that, we'll get it good forward.
Absolutely. I didn't want to ask them to do that, you know, want to know whether or not we got it.
Any other commissioners have anything?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Okay.
On the paperwork that was given to us about this, down at the bottom, it says the additional cost to complete Code Road to the city limits could be funded through SPOS or T-SPOS. Is that just referring to what we're talking about now? Because it also has mentioned in there about, doesn't include 0.14 miles in the city, but that would, if they choose to do that, that would be something the city would do.
That is correct. What we would do is we would approach the city to see if they wanted to have that extra short section done as part of the contract. But that would be their financial obligation to do that.
Okay.
While they're looking at that, part, can they give a separate estimate for that 2014 to give to the city of Woodbury?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I guess the main thing is, it was just an oversight of this 3 miles.
It was not an oversight, it was just, that's how much funded we had to allocate to
At
that.
the time.
And so that's what we did at the time. So we calculated what we had and where we could go, and we leave a short section. And I know we've had some other roads we had to go back all year to do. And what they generally do is they'll say, you'll get a lot of calls on, well, why don't you stop here? We don't have this. So it was just a situation where they would have this right.
That's right. And this is only the code road, not the lower code with the upper.
No, this is a code road. It's coming in to 7 and then a short stretch to finish it out.
And this is the area of the road that we have really street.
Right, all our plans.
So,
It's just designated all the time.
Right.
so I'll bring that up. Okay.
I just think we'll all build that.
Yeah.
Just in case there's another one. Oh,
Yeah.
another 100,000.
Yeah, no, there will not be. It'll be very close, but I'll get that document.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Any other?
We're just tabling this one?
Oh, we were just discussing,
Oh,
and he'll bring it back to us with a proposal.
with a proposal from the actual contract. Okay, that's fine.
That way it'll be more definitive for all of us. and we'll vote on it.
That's fine.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 8. We received a request from the town of Lono to extend the RFP on the Lono ball field.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we did receive on September 17th, the date is here by email. We received a request from the city's attorney, Ms. Jenkins, to consider extending the RFP proposals on Lake Lonoke property for an additional 60 days to the end of November of 2020. That RFP went out to, it was in the newspaper on September 4th. It was online September the 2nd. It is scheduled to close out at 2 p.m. September the 30th. And the questions are due by tomorrow at 5 p.m. And we have not had any other requests or any other questions at this time. This is the only request we've had, which is to extend it to the end of November.
And we're pretty standard on that as far as our normal.
Yeah, we're pretty standard on that for, for the time period to get requests for proposal. And, some of them are, very complicated. This also has been discussed for a while, so, I think everyone knew that it was going to come and so forth. But the time period we get, which is about a month, is usually pretty complicated.
Mr. Chair, I remember in our discussion of this, I too asked that we give extended more time due to COVID, and a lot of people are not in the office as well. And maybe I can, maybe go back to the minutes. I tried to find the minutes on that. We talked about bringing this light out in October. So I was a little surprised that the RFP went out as early as it did, but I thought there was some discussion to extend it out longer because of giving people ample time to respond back. I do remember stating that those who had showed interest would definitely get it, the 3 or whatever, but to make sure that we had more people to participate, I think it would be to our advantage to extend it and give some more time, due to the fact that people's schedule right now, people don't have full staffing and getting the information out, so we can get some really, a variety of different people bidding on it. That's just my personal opinion. And I thought we had discussed extending it out longer than September anyway.
I do remember.
Mr. Chair.
But there was nothing discussed. Yes, ma'am.
I'm the one who made the motion to extend it, and what we did originally, we just had, whatever meeting it was close to that we decided to do this, it was just gonna fall to our next meeting. I'm the one who made the motion, and I think Commissioner Hines probably seconded it, because we had discussion that we would carry it to the end of September.
Right.
So there was discussion about extending it, but it was until the end of September.
Right.
I think that we would, of course, need to look at the minutes, because a lot of water is running with the bridge, but I was thinking that we did extend it back another week, after our discussion, I think it was
Oh,
close.
no, for some reason I thought it was in October, so I'm sorry. I do remember.
Yeah, 'cause you and I are the ones who mentioned about needing
Right.
extension. I think I made the motion, you seconded, I believe, or vice versa. That we did ask for it to go to the end of September because it was gonna be for
Yeah,
our meeting.
tonight, I
Maybe it was tonight's meeting, I think, so we went another week, I think, with it.
Mr. Chair.
so anyway, that's the question.
Okay.
So I would like to ask us to consider this proposal from Attorney Jenkins for the simple reason that Roanoke is a municipality and they only meet once a month. Therefore, they have not had enough time to come together to put a proposal together. Even if we cannot give them 60 days, I would like to at least give them a 30-day period so that they will have time to work on that proposal. And considering the ball field is in the city of Roanoke, or not in the city limits, but it is in Roanoke, I think they should have a fair opportunity to bid on it.
And I will say, I do think they have a fair opportunity, in my opinion, with the time frame. It's pretty standard across the board what we've done. And I do know that Lono was interested and showed interest last year, I believe, when they were talking about it. So they already knew that there would probably be an RFP there. So I would think that they would have some information together for that at this period.
There were 4 groups that had expressed that be interested in that we mailed them a copy of the RFP at the beginning, where we knew those 4 groups were interested. One of them was so,
Any other commissioners? All right, hearing none, I make a motion to deny the request for extension of the RFP based on the time frame that is within our normal parameters. I have a motion, do I have a second?
I will second that. I think it's been able
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Yay.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so the request was denied.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Have we had any response to the RFP?
RFP is due September the 30th at 2. Not had any questions or anything at this point in time, or questions for clarification other than this request. And there's been no other proposals, but we've not reached the deadline. Usually those come in the day of or a day or so ahead for most problems.
So they need to apologize.
It's due September, it's due September the 30th at 2 o'clock.
Any other questions? All right. Item number 9 under new business is to discuss government documents. I'll be very short with this one. It has been brought to this board of commissioners' attention that there has been a appointed board member within Meriwether County, not one of the commissioners, but to an appointed board that allegedly took it upon themselves to remove official documents from a government office. And there was a letter sent to the individual to return those documents and the allegedly removed documents. It has also been brought to our attention by our attorneys that this is in violation of a certain state law and that our current attorneys cannot represent us in moving forward with anything that needs to take place on our end. But we would have to hire an outside attorney to do this. And being that this Board of Commissioners is elected to do certain things, we are not elected to determine which laws can and cannot be broken and okayed. So having that done, and we've all had conversation with legal counsel, I would like to make a motion that we allow the county manager to hire an outside attorney to move forward with the allegations to determine if there are steps needed to go further after that. have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and a second, all in favor?
Can we have discussion first?
We will, go ahead.
Yeah, this would, I mean, I know we've had prior discussion of this, and I have to say that after our discussion, I did have, second thoughts on it, just because basically leaning toward what you just said about, we don't really have the right to make that decision.
Right.
But, and I understand that this would be somebody to look at it to see if anything else needs to be done, and then advise us on that, and then it would go forward from that.
Correct.
Am I hearing that right?
Right, that would be the purpose of hiring an outside attorney, is to look into it, and if they do find something, then they would advise us to move forward or not.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
I have a discussion, I have a question. As you stated, this has been discussed before, and, I thought the decision had been voted on, but apparently that vote was not a valid vote.
Well, I was not okay with moving forward with deciding on if a log cabin cannot be broken. So therefore, I think that it is something that needs to be brought forward to follow the appropriate process, since we were advised that there is a possibility of a state law that has been violated.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
and I'd like to address this to the attorney.
He
When,
can't answer. They already told us that they can't advise us.
We can't advise specifically on this matter, because we
Okay.
have a conflict of interest in the fact that these boards, and county, and this board and any other board.
okay. I guess what I'm most concerned to understand, Mr. Chair, is that when the board discuss something and there has been a vote on that, how does that come back up to be re-voted again?
I put it on the agenda, which is under the guidelines of what I can.
I understand that, but I guess what I'm trying to get clarity on is how do you as a chairman, apparently you can put stuff on the agenda, but my question is, once it's been discussed and there was a vote, how do you bring it back up for another vote?
Because I'm not comfortable with us making a decision on breaking laws.
I think any of us could put something on there.
Okay.
I'd like to understand that. This is the second time that this has happened during my time. That the committee, the commissioner vote on something, and then all of a sudden it comes up again at your request. To me, that is not right. I'm not satisfied with some of the decisions that's made with the board as a whole. But I don't get the opportunity, just because I do not agree, to bring it back up again. I can, but that's not right. Once a decision is made by the board, I think the board should abide by that decision.
I don't know why you're yelling at me, but.
Well, I'm not yelling at you. Okay, I'm sorry. Let
Right,
me
I'm not
lower.
yelling at you,
Okay.
so please lower your voice.
Let me lower my voice. This is the second time that this has happened. This board has made a decision, and then all of a
Well, I'll
sudden,
tell you what, Ms. Mary, I won't interrupt you. If you're okay with making a decision on allowing the possibility of a law to be violated and broken, I think that is so far outside of where we
well,
sit,
maybe
and I'm
so,
sorry that I
but
brought
this
this
is
up.
not the first time.
All right, so any other discussion?
Well, I would just like to say, I mean, one, any of us can put something on the,
Right.
on the agenda. I don't remember what Ms. Commissioner Gray is referring to.
Well, I'm referring to it when we were closing a road. This was the same thing. We did this again, because he was not satisfied with it. We brought it up again,
But
put
it's
it
not
on the
just me
agenda.
not being satisfied, it can be brought up at any point, and I was not the chair at that time when I brought this back up.
It doesn't matter,
I know
we're the
that.
same person.
But what,
If I may just interject real quick, I think that.
what I was gonna say is that, the only thing, and I have had second thoughts about it, just because it is something that is out of really anything that we have to say over. And I have been concerned about it because I think we made a decision that we don't really have the right to make. Now, if the attorney comes back and says,
Right.
there's really, nothing to go forward to or whatever, then I think we have to abide by that.
Right.
But I'm afraid that we are stepped into something that we don't really have a say.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Because that's the only purpose of this. I'm not comfortable with making the decision, and I did vote against what we did last time to move forward with this because I was very uncomfortable that there's a possibility of a law that may have been broken or violated, and we are not a judge, jury, attorney, or any type of legal system to make those decisions and say it's okay to violate this, but it's not okay to violate that, and that's why I brought it back before this board tonight.
If I may comment on the process question, I think that's what Commissioner Hines and Commissioner Gray are speaking of. Y'all are essentially an administrative legislative body. There's nothing that precludes that even if something gets defeated on one motion, nothing precludes convincing a majority and re-raising that motion again another time and acting upon that motion. If you shot down 100 times, but nothing prevents,
I think it would be on the
taking
same,
action on
I
it.
think it would be on the same level as if one of us was out during a meeting and something was voted on, but we weren't able to put our part in that we thought, we can bring that back up to discuss it.
I was going to say, think of it as a legislature that, a bill gets raised
Yes.
on the House floor.
Right.
Just because it was defeated once doesn't mean you can't bring the exact same bill up on the House floor to get passed, and the vote's changed and it gets passed. And so from a process standpoint, I think I just wanted to bring up that. I'm not obviously commenting on the substance.
And Mr. Chair, and to the attorney, that is my question. I was more concerned on the process, because I knew that it had already been discussed and voted on. So once again, not aware that they could be brought back up again. I know legislative things can be brought up. So that was the thing that I wanted mostly clarified, that this has been discussed, it had been voted on, and now it's being brought up again to be voted on again.
And with certain exceptions such as where you need notice requirements, et cetera. For instance, the zoning act, zoning issue that has to be noticed and brought in the public hearing, et cetera. But yes, anything that doesn't have those.
Can somebody repeat what the attorney said? I cannot hear what he said.
Microphone.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, can you hear me now?
I can't.
Okay, what I was saying is I was referring to Commissioner Bray and Commissioner Hines' process question. The question was really whether or not you can re-raise a matter, and I was likening it to a legislative act that, for instance, thinking about something on the congressional House floor, just because it's defeated once doesn't mean it can't be brought up again. As long as from a political standpoint, someone's got the votes to convince the votes to fall a certain way. It's very similar in that respect. The only caveat being that if something requires notification under laws, publication, et cetera, that we have to follow the prerequisite for the vote can be had. Any questions?
Did you hear that, Dan?
Yes, so are you saying we can or we can't?
We can't.
Okay, I thought it was understood, but it was just, it sort of went out there at the end, so I wasn't sure I heard it on it. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to allow Mr. Gay to follow the process that we discussed just a few moments ago?
I thought we already done the motion.
I'm sorry, all in favor?
Yay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10, under new business, discuss the need for engineering on county line road. Mr. Gay?
Several commissioners, we have completed all the documents for our and loan.
Hey, Graham, get your, go ahead, sorry.
Yes, we have completed all of our documents for GRTA with the grant and loan for the county line project, which is aimed at the bridge replacement. And Quick Officer and I were looking at this, and it is, we could do a design build. The design build is very complicated with a lot of different ways to tackle that. So we do a lot of simpler projects. This is a pretty complicated project. not so much the bridge as the approaches to the bridge because of the hill. And so what we would recommend that you guys allow us to negotiate with service with engineering firm, and we'll check that, we got some reviews, and allow us to go ahead and have the process engineered. And then what we will do is we will let the project based on the engineering drawings, so everybody's bid will be exactly the same. This is a complicated project because you've got a bridge at the bottom of the hill, and it's real slow. So the bridge has to be designed, geometric designs, for the speed of the road and everything else from a safety standpoint. So we really don't want to tackle that in-house. I think this will be, and I would prefer us to be able to negotiate with that because it's professional services and go ahead and move forward and get that done.
Do you need that in an article?
You can negotiate with professional services for engineering.
So we're just allow you to negotiate.
Negotiate it, what we'll do is we'll get that design and we'll let that project, get time with it. And all the contractors will be the same way.
Any commissioners have anything on that?
This is the road that we have the grant for, right?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay.
Will the grant cover the engineer, or would that be separate?
No, it's, grants, gonna be about, I can't remember, it's 100 or 150,000 for, grant, there's a loan, that's for that. This project's probably a $500,000 or $600,000 project, so we won't cover it, but, it's something that we would have to do, I think, in this project.
Do you roughly know what it is?
I think it's usually about 7 to 10% of the cost, is what the engineer would do. You know, we engineered, had the engineers do the Montgomery Road, and some of those other that washed out back in 2015. Because, you know, we had to do that with the FEMA dollars, and Paul Harper engineered it, of course, at that time, working on a lot of stuff. We've been doing the small projects, but this is a complicated project. You got paving, you got slopes, you got bridge going, you said earlier, from one lane to 2 lane.
That's exactly right, Ryan. It's going to take some engineers to get that thing in there right.
And I think it'll be, you know, if we go ahead and just negotiate it with engineer, it'll be just as quick. Because you take design bills with that, really, you're trying to figure out which will what. So that you get it, everybody can do the same things.
Any other commissioner? All right, hearing nothing, do I have a motion to allow the county administrator to negotiate for professional services for engineering on County Line Road? Have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Yay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right. Moving on to item number 10, report from Finance Director.
Mr. Chairman, you got the bank office report in front of you. The only thing I point out is that you do $400,000 in the E911 account for the civil fund. This is something that before the end of the year.
Beth, you here?
Yes, well, barely, but I can hear a little bit.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Report from the county administrator.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, we got some other ordinances we're going to be working on, the E&S ordinance, subdivision zoning, and like I sort of talk to you guys, alcohol, zoning map, and all that, wrapped together. We worked with Mr. Bray on the Regal Park recreation grant that we're looking at. I think we're going to try to meet next week with some other parties to see if they'll contribute some property. Kind of work with us on that matter, we'll bring that issue back. I did call the contact with the owners of the fire station property in the north here, talked to them, called them, left a message, and not heard back. did contact the Greenville Fire Station site, we got to sit down with Joel and Michael and David, and I talked about that just the other day. Did the IDA meeting, I think the mayor went to clean up, I think this James here, she probably speak about that. The airport business after hours, that was Buster that speaking that. I put a card in y'all's box for the whole harbor, about they're having, been working on the updated fee schedules, and the final changes to subdivision and zoning, and we're working on job descriptions for a couple of positions that you guys have asked us to do. And, it is,
As usual. Thank you. Anything else? Any questions for the county administrator?
Ms. Gay, can you just remind me of that date that they're supposed to start on Hill Haven Road?
they are already started, they've been doing the engineering on it.
Okay.
But I'll check and see when they think they'll be on the ground. They're already, have been doing that, and I know down at Owens Road, they had already called for, utility locales. So different companies, you got one company got that bid, one company got this bid, and I'll check with that and let you know.
Okay, one more question, on Greenville Fire Station, I heard you said that you on that, can you give me any details?
What we did was, we just talked about the process and how to get it through. What we're gonna do is ask them to take that entire track. Part of that track is not gonna be something that we can work with immediately. We're asking to take the other section of the track, of the parcel of land, and I think Michael was talking to their attorney, and I will get the drawing out this week, and we'll show what we're looking at. We're looking at the upper lot. I think it's big enough. In a perfect world, I'd love to have it all clear, the fire station down a little bit, but that's not gonna happen. Time period, because I think it's satisfactory.
Thank you.
Anyone else for Mr. Day? All right,
Thank you.
we'll have a report from our county commissioners, Commissioner Hines.
Thank you. I'm not sure which meeting it was, but in one meeting I mentioned to the board or asked in reference to the coal ash that's being put in the landfill here in Marion County. I received an email and a copy of an article in the Time, Georgia newspaper in Carrollton, and it's an article about the landfill here in Marion County. And apparently they interviewed and talked to some different commissioners and different people regarding our landfill, and that's good. I'm glad people were able to reach out. But it was pretty interesting to me that for me to represent that area, I'm not sure how they reached out or how they got in contact with different people, but I never did get anyone to reach out to me in reference to that. But there is an article, and it has different commissioners' quotations in it. I think for me, one of the things that I'm most concerned about is the fact that transparency and making sure that the citizens know the effect of coal ash. I understand from the legislative part of this, we can't legislate what dumps take in, but we can be aware of the effect that it has and get the quarterly reports. So I've had some citizens to reach out to me in reference to it because they too have been getting more information. So I just want to make sure that we keep abreast and we let our citizens know how this may or may not affect them, but it's something that I too will make follow up on. My main concern, but I'm hearing from our citizens, is supplying water to that area at some point in time. So I will go back and have more discussion about that. I don't want to discuss it in detail tonight, but I can understand their concern of making sure that they have good quality drinking water and how the county or it's going to be provided for them. So I know a couple citizens said they want to come to the meetings, and I told them right now they would have to sign up or speak during the Zoom time. So there may be someone who wants to come to, but that's my main concern that I want to talk about.
I would assume that they do some type of reporting based on the percentages done in there, and they would have to, like, for the report we were talking about, maybe we could get those just to put them online, since there is a concern from citizens, and put that out on our Facebook, and they can provide that reporting from there on the percentages and the effect of it.
I had, because I think, you mentioned this one of the meeting, I did talk to the landfill. He told me this sport has done very little, but I'll get some numbers. And the landfill reference is not in Carroll County, it's in the adjoining county.
This Carroll County is not in Carroll County.
Right.
It's, but the article that was written is the Time Georgian, and which is in Carroll. So I'm not trying to imply that the landfill is in Carroll County. It's actually in Rawman or something of that
I know
nature.
there
But
also is looking at a Rockport.
I appreciate the fact that they brought the information to my attention and everything, but I guess my main concern is that in my district, I want, and not just my district, just letting people in the county be aware of what is transpiring. We, like I said earlier, I've looked at the laws, and we don't have any control of what they take, but we do need to know how it can or if it will affect us as far as our drinking water. And I live in the area, and yes, I was an opponent against the landfill. I'm not against landfills because we do create a lot of waste and it has to go somewhere. But my position on that was the location of that landfill. Not that I'm against the landfill, but I do know, and because I live close to it, like any landfill, it smells and it has other things too. But that was the point that I wanted to make sure.
I may can help you, Commissioner Hines, a little bit. I have worked with coal ash for a number of years. The thing that really happened in the 1990s after the Clean Air Act came out, our fly ash and some of our bottom ash too is no longer a sellable product because the carbon content is a little bit high. Coal ash has been used for years in a number of products out here. Concrete, road building, you name it, we use coal ash. And it's pretty innocuous stuff, really and truly. We used to have to keep with, around the ash pond, we always bailed our wells, and I've never really seen anything that would set off an alarm at all. And all the drinking water at the last plant I worked was Plant Edison. And we had about 7 or 8 deep wells all the way around the ash pond. I never saw any contamination there. Now, the landfill itself, this liner should protect you from anything out there. So that's kind of,
This is line landfill, so in a perfect world, you shouldn't have any approach.
well, not only is the line landfill, but they've got to be some wells out there they can bail from time to time. So they should, somebody should know if something is out.
And you know, I was ever a buck fighting college for the I'll see how much ash has been deposited there, and I'll let you guys know.
I have a quarterly report, so I mean, that's fine. I guess my main point that I want to make sure everybody understands is that I understand it's here. I understand there may be nothing in the county or anything we can do. I just think the citizen should have been informed. And how that should have came about, I'm not sure, but they do know now. And I think it's at their discretion to, not discretion, to just be informed and know. And as Commissioner Brinkley just mentioned, if there's a way to have it on the website, people will know. It's mostly affecting, once again, my district. And I'm concerned about anyone in this county making sure they have good quality drinking water.
I think put it there, that all of us that aren't in that union district see it every day, will be able to look at it and know where you're at on all that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I want to respond to Commissioner Hines. Someone called me, this has probably been 3 months ago, from somewhere in North Georgia, where they had a proposed landfill going in. And the lady told me, now she was with a newspaper, I didn't know it, but she told me that she was contacting me because she understood I was on the board when that landfill opened. Of course, I was real clear to her that I was not on the board leading up to that point. And she was going to, or she was person said that she was gonna be reaching out to others. I think, Jane was one because of the industry there or whatever. Now, I don't know if this is in relation to the same situation or not. I can't remember the town, it's North Georgia though, I thought. Harrison County. Yes, that was it. So if she, I mean, that was the reason, if mine is, if there was a quote from me, and I would be interested in seeing if there is, because what she called me about was, because I was on the board and she was wanting to know the reaction of people leading up to it opening.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, Commissioner Gray?
First of all, I apologize to the board and also to the audience for getting so emotional. But sometimes sitting in this chair, it gets personal and they get emotional. And I just want to make sure that the board as a whole has the best interest of the community at heart and not personal issues. But I do apologize for getting so emotional, but that was on me. That's all I have.
And I accept that. Commissioner Hadley?
Just a couple of things. One, to all of those who were involved with Peaches and the Pines in any way, congratulations. I thought you did a great job. It was a great day. And I think people were just excited to be out and about. And I know I mentioned this at our last meeting, but October the 10th, Warm Springs will have their Harvest Hoedown. And we have so many people wanting to be vendors. I think people just want to get out and be a part of things. And my intent as of today, we've got like 65 vendors, which is a huge number for us. But I know the merchants group is trying to put things in place for safety and that kind of thing. But just put it on your calendar and come down if you can and help support these merchants too, and then the city as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner McCoy?
Well, the only thing I wanted to bring up was Thursday evening, which you're very familiar with, from 5:30 to 7. There will be business after hours at the airport. We'd love to have you come out, and of course, if you were Maryland County, you represent the business. And what we're going to do there, if it rains, we're just going to move in the blue hangar and just kind of handle it from there. If it doesn't rain, we'll be outside, you'll get to see all the improvements. And there should be a mini air show there. So come on out Thursday evening.
Anything else?
That's all.
All right, and you and Commissioner Hadley spoke on what I was going to, but I will elaborate a little bit on the after hours at the airport. We will be having and enforcing social distancing, masks, and you cannot be more than 6 feet apart. So if you plan on coming and you are on this Zoom call or here in our area tonight, then we will be enforcing the social distancing, and masks will be required if you're not within that 6 feet. All right. That's all I have. Report from county commission, from the county attorney.
I have no report, and I don't think we have any need for executive session.
Thank you. All right. So we will go to item number 14, public comment. Yeah, can you unmute just so I can see if there's anyone? Yeah. And what we'll do, Beverly, if there's anyone online, if you'll just write those in as I ask. Let me know when everybody's unmuted.
I've got one ready to speak. She got her hand.
Okay, who online is wanting to speak? I need your name.
I do Angela Turner.
Okay, well, we're just gonna put you down on the list, Ms. Turner, and I'll get to you as we come down that list, okay? Because we had a couple here tonight.
Okay.
Anyone else online wanting to speak? All right. Can I have that list? We'll just give you a little bit. You'll be right there, you're fine without it.
As I stated earlier, I am Sherry Moore. I have a place out on Crawford Creek Road that we've had for some years. But since I've retired from 30 years with official court reporting, I am transitioning to the farm. That's what we call it, the farm. In doing so, I've had the opportunity to come in contact with some of the county offices. The first one is the tag office, getting all of our vehicles registered here and getting the tags. And the only person that I can recall speaking with is Miss Tiffany, and I spoke with her on the phone, and she called me back when we dropped a call. We had a call drop because I was in an area where the cell phone wasn't good. She was very professional and did a very good job. Anybody that I have come in contact with in that tag office has been friendly, efficient, and knows what they're doing. I commend Meriwether County for that. I've lived in Clayton County 64 years, never have I had that happen. Mr. Gay, the manager, the county manager, called me at 6:30 last night because I left a voicemail that I was concerned about a couple of items. The first phone call, the website's very, it's not user-friendly, or it's not user-friendly for a 65-year-old, I'm sorry. I was trying to how to find out about the garbage, the trash on the roads. And I finally worked my way through it, and I spoke with a woman named Sue, and I think she's at Public Works, is that correct? She was great, she helped me out. There's a lot of garbage dumped out and furniture and debris put on Crawford Creek Road. It is a dirt road. And then Mr. Gay and I spoke about the bridge on Crawford Creek Road, that it's in some disrepair. The crew came out, put gravel down at several spots, and that was great. But they put it down at the edge of the bridge, and one hole, it just falls into the hole, and it separates the foundation from the bridge and the bridge. So you got a gaping hole there. And then the other side, it seems to hold for a while, but it will eventually work its way through. I just want to tell you guys, you're very fortunate to have lovely people that work in your government offices here.
Thank you very much, we really appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
All right.
We're taking care of that bridge, by the way, it's just where the bridge abuts the roads, we're taking care of that.
Ms. Shirley Loud.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm still concerned about the road, bridge, not bridge, I heard you said bridge, that's what it's looking like. Hill Haven Road on, I say the south end near, Highway 100. And the signs, the little barricades, they're terrible. I don't know if people knocking them down, or age, wind, or what. And on the side of the road that we have to go around, it's a little dip there. It's getting even dipper there. It's a little dip. And I'm just concerned about when we're gonna see some results about getting that road paved. I see more tractor trailers come down through there, the fire truck, the ambulance, that's heavy equipment on that. Like I said before, to me, you wait on an accident to happen. I don't know who's gonna be who or what. I'm just concerned about our road getting fixed. And I'm not gonna talk about what the road look like at the city, so that's another subject. I already called them on the docket for them too. So, our road is a mess, and we still haven't, and I'm just concerned about somebody. I know one time they had knocked it down, but I called Tyrell. We got out there, and I got it back up. So I hadn't seen nothing in the paper either. Last time y'all said y'all had a bid together, that somebody come out there and look at it.
Yeah, it's already been let to bid. They're doing the design right now. We checked it weekly to make sure the road is not deteriorated further, so it's not going to be a danger. But we didn't want to close the road until we absolutely have to. But as I told Commissioner Bray earlier, I'll check and see with the company tomorrow about when they're going to get started on that, because we're anxious for them to go ahead and get going.
Yeah, like I said, I travel and I don't travel, especially like going home tonight, I will not be going down that way. But I go around to the branch highway and come in there. But I was just concerned about what's going on with our road. But the county,
It has been lit, and I will check on that. The barricades, you're exactly right. We put barricades up, we'll find the creek, side of the road, busy. Why, I don't know. I wish I had that much time,
like I said, I know it was down one day when I went out, I said, that's dangerous, so I called him and he came out, they got a crew right there and they put it back up.
Well, I will call them tomorrow just to get a track of where they are, because they should be during that phase. I know the other road that we left at the same time, they've already done utility markings, so they're getting ready.
Will we get like in the paper, or we live on Hill Haven, will we get a warning saying you're gonna close up that end, or what?
We'll put it on the website. Plus what we'll do is we'll probably put a sign out that says road will be closed on such and such date. So that way you'll know ahead of time, we kind of prepare, that it's gonna be closed and, this day.
All right,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.
And Ms. Turner,
Yes, hi.
could you tell,
I'd like to speak on
could I ask
that.
you, Ms. Turner, could I ask you just one question, your address, I'll write it on the sheet for you.
Certainly. It's 180 LF Place. And it has Grantville mailing address, but I'm here in Mariwood County. Actually, I'm right across from our land is right across from the landfill.
Thank you.
And I received information about coal ash in the landfill last week. And it said that it had been in the landfill since 2017. My concern is, speaking as citizens here, that we drink well water. And I hear what you're saying. You know, that's what they said in the beginning about the line and of the site and all that. And if they should, the people that own the site should be able to tell us if there's a leak or whatever, pumping wells, etc. They're not gonna always be forthcoming. You know, and we won't know about it until we're suffering with cancer and all these other things. So I feel that something needs to be done, and I think it needs to be done by the commissioners. In regards to making sure that we know what is going on there, and that we are safe, and that we're going to drink safe water.
I hear you, and we usually don't comment during these, it's just usually for public comment.
Okay.
I think what we can do is hear your words, and we will look into, see what we can provide for you and keep you updated as a citizen as well as others. So that's all I can promise you as of tonight, but we will do a little bit further research into it to see what we can find out and provide that information, okay?
I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else, Ms. Turner?
No, that's it for now.
Thank you. You have a good night.
Thank you. You
Yes,
too.
ma'am. All right, that's all that is signed up. And you'll pass that back to Beverly. I signed it. Thank you.
Chair, may I remind everyone of the Keep Mariwood Beautiful cleanup this Saturday? From the phone calls we've got, there's plenty of trash out there that will be taken to the containers. So just, if you got anything, take them this Saturday.
And I will say I've had requests already for additional days.
We could use them.
Because the landfill is so far away from me being on the southern end of Canada, they want more days.
And we are moving tires, Ms. Jean.
Tires, 2 weeks, taken to Public Works. Unlimited tires.
Motion.
Johnson will get it, usual places. How about the one in Greenville? Everybody always,
The Greenville one is at Public Works.
it's gonna be at Public Works, not gonna be in the parking lot. Okay.
No, it's at Public Works.
Public Works.
You already have the volunteers set up.
We do. And Public Works has been wonderful to work with. I agree with you. They're just super. Couldn't do it without them.
Thank you, Ms. Jane. And I had this big flyer up here beside me.
Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, we have no need for executive session for legal, and our future meetings will be October 14th, regular meeting at 9 a.m., as well as October 27th, regular meeting at 6 p.m. Is there any other business to come before the board? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Have a motion, do I have a second? Motion and a second, all in favor? Motion carries, we are adjourned.